Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the December 21st business meeting of the Lewiston City Council. And it's the final business meeting for the 2020 and 2021 City Council. So first item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Roll call votes.
Sure. All roll call votes for this meeting will begin with the Councilor of Ward 3, and we will note for the record that Councilor Roebuck, the Councilor from Ward 2, has an excused absence this evening.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the recognition of outgoing mayor and city council. Tested. Okay. So this evening we have, plaques that will be given to the mayor and the city council, but we also have an award this evening. And I'm really proud of this, and I'm actually a little nervous, and you think after 2 years of doing this I wouldn't be. But as my tenure as mayor is coming to a close, I'm so pleased that one of my last actions will be to recognize Council President Mike Lejoy. So before I go into my official comments, I just want to share approximately just over 4 years ago, the Ward 4 council seat was open, and we were really struggling finding a good candidate who could run for run for the Ward 4 seat. I know I had called Mike and asked him if he would consider running, and he said, I just retired. I'm really looking forward to spending time with my family. I know others within the community had called Mike individually, and they all got the same response. So I reached out to Senator Nate Libby and Kristen Cloutier, who was on the council at that time, to see if there was a possibility that we could all get together as a group and gang up on Mike. Although we didn't use those terms. So several people agreed, including several community members. I called Mike and said, hey Mike, any chance I could come up and talk to you one more time? So Mike said, yeah, and just as I was hanging up, oh, by the way, I'm bringing friends. And then I hung up. So a group of probably a half dozen of us met with Mike at his home. And Mike might think that we went there to try to convince him to be okay with this and run for council. Really, we were really trying to convince Rita to give Mike permission to run for city council. So we spent probably a good hour there, had some really good conversations, and Mike didn't give us an answer that day, but he called shortly thereafter and said that he would run for city council. And I'm so happy that a group of us took the opportunity to reach out to a really good man. And so now my official word. So Mike, I think you're probably one of the most honorable men who I've served with. I can count on a hand, and I've been around a long time. It's very rare that you serve with folks and you truly leave just being a close friend with them. And I can count on one hand, and two of them are in the room this evening, Kristen Cloutier and Nate Libby. But Mike, you're also in that list of somebody that I consider a true friend. You have served your community in so many ways. You've served your country, your state, and your city. It has been my privilege to serve alongside you for the benefit of our community. I could always count on your straightforward dialogue, and trust me, Mike is very straightforward in his opinions at times. But he also brought a lot of insight to his words. For me as mayor, that made a difference. I also want to note that Mike Lejoy not only has the respect of many statewide, but he has the love of a very dedicated family. He has family, friends here this evening whose love and support of Mike have always been extremely evident. Mike has been a gift to all of us. So, Mike, with that, I'd like to take the opportunity to present you with a Public Service Champion Award. Thank you. Okay, so I'd ask now that our city clerk read a proclamation into the record.
Sure. City of Lewiston, Maine, proclamation proclaiming Mike Lejoy Day. Whereas Mike Lejoy is an individual who has dedicated his life to public service, and whereas from military service to public safety to public office to community service and a host of state and local board and committee positions, Mike is a person who has truly made a difference in the lives of others. And whereas whatever the task before him, Mike has always demonstrated stellar leadership skills and interacted with others with respect and objectivity. And whereas, whether rising through the ranks of the Lewiston Fire Department to serving as council president and state representative, he has consistently been a man of integrity with a caring, compassionate spirit. And whereas, amidst a fire science technology degree, educational programs, certifications, countless recognitions, and winning state and local offices, his humble nature and support of others' success shine through. And whereas, a lifelong resident of the city of Lewiston, he has, quote, done Lewiston proud, and when people hear his name, an infectious smile and reflection of a true gentleman come to mind. Now therefore, I, Mark A. Kayer, Mayor of Lewiston, Maine, do hereby proclaim December 21st, 2021, as Mike Lejoy Day in the city of Lewiston in recognition of his outstanding public service presented this 21st day of December 2021, signed Mark A. Kayer, Mayor.
So we presented Mike with the official proclamation, and I suspect he'll hang that on his home in a room in his home. And I hope you really recognize how important you've been to me as mayor. So thank you. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Heather Hunter, our city administrator.
Hi, Mike. Good evening. It's my honor this evening to be part of celebrating Mike Lejoy. From his time as fire chief, then as an elected official, Mike has committed to the greater good of the city of Lewiston. He is respected by the firefighters, community members, colleagues, and fellow elected officials. He is a man of his word, is known for his professional attention to detail, thoughtful listening, and embracing the opinions of others. As a native of Lewiston, he has been an advocate for his hometown. He has always been willing to lend a hand and do whatever is needed to move the community forward. He is a firm believer that opportunity does live here. This evening, we pay tribute to the vast impact of Mike has made and will no doubt continue to make. Just because his time in public office is coming to a close, I'm sure we'll continue to see Mike assisting the community activities and volunteering. Again, thank you, Mike, for your leadership, your calm and steady service to others, and championing Lewiston. As you may continue that role, in a small token as our larger appreciation, we wanted you to present you this gift. Thank you. And since this is the, longest day of the year?
All right.
I would next like to introduce the governor of the state of Maine via Zoom.
Recording in progress.
Okay, and she's supposed to be coming up. Hello, Governor Mills. We're going to have, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We're going to have the guest of honor take my place at this time. and you can interact with him personally. Mike? Okay, there you go.
Hey, Mike.
Hi there.
Whoa, this is so interesting.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm at the Blaine House and nursing a bit of a cold, but it's so good to see you. It's been a while. And I want to congratulate you personally on receiving the Public Service Champion Award. I'm so proud to know you, to have known you as a friend for I don't know how many years, a few decades anyway, since I was district attorney of Androscoggin County, a long time ago. And we interacted. You were in the fire department, and then chief. And then I knew you as, known you as a legislator, for 8 years, right? And on the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee, you did such a great job. I'm so proud of the work you did there. You were the voice of reason. There were a lot of people with agendas. You didn't have an agenda except to protect the public, to protect the people of the state of Maine. And that was your primary goal, and one that you achieved forcefully and patiently, without a lot of hoopla. You were not one of the polarizing forces in the legislature. You were the voice of reason, and you still are. You are, and as a person who has run 2 small businesses, you spoke up for small business in the legislature. You spoke up for the rights of people in Lewiston, Auburn, and the voice of people in Lewiston, Auburn has too often been understated. You spoke forcefully for them. I remember seeing a picture of you and Rita dancing the day after the election, the night of the election, and it made the news, and you were so fun. You guys have a great time and a great relationship and a great family, and I'm so happy to know you and to help celebrate your achievements and accomplishments. I think vous avez les qualités de chef de la communauté. You are a true community leader avec une carrière respectable, with a very respectable resume, a career. And you've done the people of Lewiston proud every step of the way. Few people, if any, serve in public life for as long as you have served without some mark of antagonism, opposition, and you have stayed above the fray because you've been honest with the people you served, whether it was Lewiston City Council or the Criminal Justice Committee or the Fire Department, under different chiefs, different mayors, and different city councils, whether it was being on the city council and making the decisions you made, and chair of the city council. You stayed above the fray, and you made decisions methodically, thoughtfully, carefully, always with the benefits to the city, the people of the city of Lewiston, first and foremost in your mind. I know I can go back a few decades to when Lewiston was not as proud a city as it is today. And it should be proud of its leadership. It should be proud of the participation of people like yourself, native-born Lewiston people, and getting together with others not native-born to forge a great future for the beautiful city of Lewiston. Let me know what I can do to help in the years to come, and I will always be your friend, and I'm so proud to count you among my dear friends, Mike Lejoy. Thank you and congratulations to you and Rita.
Thank you, Governor. It's a pleasure and an honor to hear those words from you. And as you know, you have my support, and I've worked for your campaign, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. So, thank you again.
Thank you, Mike. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, Governor. So
Thank
now
you.
I'd like to ask our city clerk to read
gonna
U.S.
try and
U.S. Senator Susan Collins' congressional letter into record.
Yes, a letter that we received from U.S. Senator Susan Collins. Dear Mike, congratulations on receiving the Public Service Champion Award from the Lewiston City Council and Mayor. This is a wonderful achievement. Through your roles as Fire Chief, State Representative, and City Council President, you have served the people of Maine and the citizens of Lewiston with your time, talent, and dedication. I am delighted to join the City of Lewiston in thanking you for your many years of service and applauding you for this recognition. Once again, congratulations on receiving this award and best wishes and good health in the future. Sincerely, Susan M. Collins, United States Senator.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're almost done. We just have a couple of folks that would like to make some brief comments. So I'd invite Elaine Root, the board president of the Gendro Franken Center, either to the table or to the podium, whichever you're more comfortable with.
You want me to come here?
Sure, that would be great, yeah.
Few brief comments. Woo. Hang in there, Mike. I have known Mike for a long time. We went to high school together. Of course, he was quite a few years older than I, but in any event. Mike, I gotta tell you, on this special occasion, a simple thank you just doesn't seem like enough to say to you, considering for your many, many years of service in so many areas, for so many people on local and state level. To their concerns, you always brought truth and pragmatic answers to share with them always. Your service above self has been exemplary to your community and to other organizations that you also have served on. As the saying goes, you can't keep a good man down. And that is you, Mike. You're a good family man as well as a good team player. You have been a champion for your constituents and a major supporter for the improvement of your beloved community, Lewiston. And for that, my friend, and oh so much more, thank you.
And then finally, comments from Mary Jane Sturdivant, who is the outreach coordinator of Milestone Federal Credit Union. Good evening.
Hi, Mike. It is a sincere honor to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you for your decades of professional and volunteer service on behalf of our community. To express our thanks adequately would be impossible given your leadership, efforts, and contributions you've made to not only the City Council and the Fire Department, but to so many community organizations as well. Our credit union has been extremely fortunate to be the beneficiary of your volunteer service for an astonishing 24 years. Your service in each role, including as the board chair and the board director, consistently reflected your abiding leadership, integrity, and commitment in providing guiding leadership of our credit union, and continues to make a lasting difference for the membership, staff, and community. Your volunteer work in our community has proven that one person can make a significant difference in the lives of others. You are an inspiring, selfless, exceptional volunteer and community leader. And it has been our honor to collaborate with you in the stewardship of City's credit union all these many years. Respectfully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we conclude, I'd first like to thank the members of the Lewiston Fire Department for taking time this evening to come and join in with us in our presentation to Mike. I also would just like to take note, most of our state delegation is here this evening. Representative John Connor, Representative Margaret Craven, Representative Kristen Cloutier, and Senator Nate Libby, and I'd like to thank all of them for being here this evening, and if I've missed anyone, please let me know. Okay. All right, with that said, we're going to move. Oh, I'm sorry.
He's not going to get away with it that easy. So, I think all my efforts are due to the background that I grew up in, and my parents, in my upbringing, as well as my family's support. But you know, I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't be as active as I am if it wouldn't be for the people, you people in the audience, the firefighters first, who supported me during the time as I was fire chief, as well as captain and deputy chief and so on. I can't express, I can express a lot of gratitude for that. However, it's the people that are behind the scene that make a huge difference. And those are the people that I like to be with, because as a team we can accomplish so much. I wouldn't be able to accomplish what I'm accomplishing today without many of the individuals that have gotten up and spoken. And also, especially on this city council, with the individuals sitting with me. They're the strength that supports me and moves me forward. So if I can get this out, thank you. Thank you very much. Who knew about this?
Thank you so much,
Thank
Rita,
you.
for your help.
I just wanted me to say, I'm sorry they couldn't be here. COVID took them out. My family was supposed to be here, but somebody tested positive with COVID, so they couldn't be here. But they are watching. Yeah. So they've seen and they've heard all of this. So thank you all so much for supporting me. I love you.
Okay, Mayor.
Thank you. See, I shared with you that he can be straightforward in his thoughts. So honestly, the agenda tonight is going to take a moment to recognize the outgoing mayor and city council. But I'm really pleased that we had the opportunity to surprise Mike. And with that was only because we had great help from his wife, Rita. And Rita, we want to thank you as well, because we recognize the sacrifice as a wife that you have gone through in his service with the fire department and then his public service as an elected official. So thank you. With that, I'm going to turn this over to our city administrator, Heather Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to recognize both Councilor Muhammad and Councilor Roebuck, who filled in for a term, jumping into kind of the near end and jumping in with both feet. I appreciate your efforts in finishing up the terms. Next, I would like to recognize both Councilor Jelinas and Councilor Clement, who both are moving forward into the next term of councilors, so I look forward to continuing to working with you. And for our fully term outgoing council, again, who would have known 3 months into the election of this term that we would have a worldwide pandemic that has never been experienced before. You have weathered that storm quite eloquently. It clearly shows the leadership involved and your ability to work together. I think it's remarkable that you stepped right into a budget season with a great many unknowns into the pandemic. You reduced not only the tax rate during that fiscal year, but also during this fiscal year, and achieved a lot of other goals within your strategic plan. economic development projects, your diversity and inclusion, your equity statement. There are many, many projects that you accomplish in spite of being shuttered, in spite of being in a pandemic environment, in an emergency situation for the lion's share of your first year in office. So kudos to you. We would like to recognize you in appreciation for your dedicated service, beginning on January 20th through January 2022. Mayor Marquardt. Ward 1 Councilor Sophia Khalid. Councilor from Ward 3, Alicia Ray.
I'll hold it up so you can take a
And last
picture.
but not least, Councilor from Ward 4, Mike Lejoy. It's all about Mike. Take care.
Okay, enough with the touchy-feely stuff. I want to thank everyone who came this evening, specifically for Mike. And we have a pretty easy agenda, but feel free if anyone at this point would like to leave. We really appreciate the opportunity that you gave us by attending. Okay, agenda item number 1, please.
Actually, if we could just back up, Mr. Mayor, for the
Okay.
acceptance of the minutes, if that's okay?
Yep.
Acceptance of the minutes of the November 16th and December 7th, 2021 meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor Jelinas. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you.
Motion passed by a vote of 7 to 0. Thank you.
Okay, public comment, Perry, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't present for last meeting.
Okay.
Sure, for the December 7th?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Councilor Khalid. Public comment period. Any member of the public may make public comments regarding issues pertaining to Lewiston City Government. 3 minutes per speaker. Maximum time is 15 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment for any item not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Agenda item number 1, please.
Item number 1, public hearing on a renewal application for a special amusement permit for live entertainment for the Fraternal Order of Eagles, 1327 Sabattus Street. Requested action to grant a special amusement permit for live entertainment to the Fraternal Order of Eagles, 1327 Sabattus Street.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor Lejoy, and with that, I'll open the public hearing. Any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none to the public. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Back to the council. Councilor Ray.
I just have a quick question on the expiration date for this. It's listed as January 4th, 22, which is like 2 weeks from now.
That should probably be 23.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you, Counselor. We will fix that. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, call the roll.
Counselor from Ward 3?
Yes?
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Motion passed by a vote of 7 to 0.
thank you. Agenda item number 2, please.
Item number 2, resolve authorizing acceptance of the Public Art Working Group recommendations for 6 public art proposals for the Choice neighborhood. Requested action to approve the resolve authorizing acceptance of the Public Art Working Group recommendations for 6 public art proposals for the Choice neighborhood.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Khalid, seconded by Councilor Ray. Just briefly, we've had a workshop, pretty lengthy workshop on this recently, but if you could just briefly review it.
Yes, great. As part of the Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant, there's about $200,000 that'll be able to be allocated for bringing new public art into the Tree Streets neighborhood. The sites for them are still being determined, and this action before you tonight is really just saying, yes, we accept the public art proposals with sites where each will be erected to be determined in the future as we go through environmental review and other HUD regulations to allow that to happen. but it's a very diverse group of 6 different pieces of art. I think it'll add a lot to the neighborhood, and we hope for your support.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments from the council? Okay, seeing Councilor Jelinas.
Not a question, but just, I think the word that I heard you use as a descriptor was diverse, and absolutely. During the workshop, I felt like there were some possible locations where these projects would go, these proposals, would go, and those were pretty cool to hear about as well.
Agreed, yeah, no, I thought the Public Art Working Group did a great job, made some great recommendations. I think it'll just really add a lot of life to the street and some of our gateways.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none to the public. Okay, back to the council. Call the roll, please.
Council from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
thank you. Agenda item number 3, please.
Item number 3, order authorizing a supplemental appropriation from the city's general fund balance in the amount of $305,521 to fund costs for Phase 1 of the Lewiston Armory renovation. Requested action to approve the order authorizing a supplemental appropriation from the city's general fund balance in the amount of $350,521 to fund costs for Phase 1 of the Lewiston Armory renovation.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor Lejoy. Staff presentation.
Just a quick one. Nicole Welch, Recreation Director. So the City of Lewiston is entering a 5-year lease agreement with the LA Maples, slated to start their exhibition games at the Armory in May. They're expecting a little more background. They're expecting 8 to 12 home games. We're expecting, roughly 600 to 800 visitors per game at home games. We're pretty excited about this adventure. So in thinking of the Armory and with safety and visitor experiences in mind, this approval would be the first steps towards ensuring that the Armory would be a positive experience for all attendees. Specifically, this would go towards looking at infrastructure, utilities, and the use of long-term space in the Armory.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the council? Okay, seeing none to the public. Back to the council. Call the roll, please.
Council from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
thank you. Agenda item number 4, please.
Item number 4, resolve approving the amended Great Falls TV agreement. Requested action to adopt the resolve approving the amended Great Falls TV agreement, subject to the City of Auburn approving the same amended agreement.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Clement, seconded by Councilor Jelinas. Questions or comments from the council? You want to briefly go over it, Heather?
Certainly. The Great Falls TV did have a separate committee that ran operationally, looking at the way the operations and technology has changed over the years. It's been vetted that perhaps that committee is no longer the best umbrella for those operations to serve under. Additionally, with recent retirements, they need to hire some individuals, and they need to be employees from one of the 2 cities. So this agreement outlines kind of a strategy that provides oversight by both the cities still, but it rests within the administration, and then the City of Auburn would hire the employees and serve as the immediate supervisory role of operations.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Lejoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having been on the 911 committee for the past 4 years, I can understand where the 2 cities are coming from. It has been dwindling, I think ever since maybe 10 years ago, because of the new technology, and also because of volunteers. We used to have volunteers that went out with the cameras, and they used to cover basketball games, football, and so on, and we just don't have those volunteers any longer. They're hard to come by, and I think it's the best decision made, really. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Ray.
So this will dissolve the Cable TV Advisory Committee? Is that the committee that,
That's correct.
okay, cool. Thank
And
you.
assuming this is passed, the next step would be to do the ordinance adjustment as well.
Okay, and it looks like those folks are all up January 4th of next year, so.
Right.
Thank you to them for their service.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none to the public. Back to the council. Call the roll, please.
Counselor from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Agenda item number 5, please.
Item number 5, order authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute a purchase and sale agreement and other related closing documents for acquisition of property on Robinson Gardens, transfer of $200,000 from the Hartbrook project to Jepson Brook to provide additional funding for this purpose and resell the property after construction is completed. Requested action, order authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute a purchase and sale agreement and other related closing documents for acquisition of property on Robinson Gardens, transfer $200,000 from the Hartbrook project to Jepson Brook to provide additional funding for this purpose, and resell the property after construction is completed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor Lejoy, and I believe we have a brief presentation from our Director of Public Works.
Yes, Mary Ann Brenchek, Public Works Director. Typically, Public Works doesn't buy homes, but we're doing this to save money. So when we purchase this property, we'll be able to put in the stormwater upgrade that's necessary for Jepson Brook, and also resell the property after. So we really need to take down the garage and then resell the house. It's substantial savings for us to do this, and we have a opportunity that's really before us with a great existing owner that has contacted us to do this. So it's a great opportunity for us to do a project upgrade.
And can you just go into that project upgrade, why
Sure.
the city needs to do that?
Yeah, so Jepson Brook is only for a 10-year storm right now. If you're in that neighborhood of Robinson Gardens, there's some flooding. Some people right on, close to me live in that neighborhood. And what happens is that we have 3 different sections that have been upgraded. The first section has already been done. The second project is underway right now. The contract came in under bid, which is great. And this would be the last section. So then all 3 sections of this concrete, huge culverts, would be replaced. There's only a 30-foot right-of-way between homes, and we need to add another pipe. So there's no way to do it without a very expensive process. If we take down the garage, we put in 3 big culverts, like you typically would do if you had the open space. We'll redo the easement so that the city would have a permanent easement for the repair and maintenance of those pipes. And then we'll rebuild the driveway and resell the house.
Okay, good, thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Okay, seeing none to the public. Back to the council. Call the roll, please.
Counselor from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6, please.
Item number 6, resolve to approve the Mill 7 lease, including the building fit-out improvements, to serve as the city's new police station, and authorize the city administrator to exercise the necessary documents subject to the planning board's final approval on the subdivision of Lot 5. Requested action, to approve the resolve to adopt the Mill 7 lease, including the building fit-out improvements, to serve as the city's new police station, and authorize the city administrator to exercise the necessary documents subject to the planning board's final approval on the subdivision of Lot 5.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor Jelinas, and I believe we have a presentation, or a brief presentation. Kind of, we went through this in a workshop, so yeah, take it away, sir.
You're correct. Good evening, Mayor and Lewiston City Council. My name is Greg Mitchell, and I was hired by the city administrator to assist the city to negotiate the Bates Mill 7 lease. And as the mayor indicated, I appeared before you 2 weeks ago on December 7th and profiled the business terms of the transaction. In your packet is a complete lease with exhibits that's been negotiated with the owner of the building. And if You'll indulge me, I'll just go through just the high-level business terms of the transaction, just for the benefit of the public.
Thank you.
The transaction is a lease. It is for an initial 9-year term, and it's got 3 9-year consecutive renewal options. The utilization of the building, this is Mill 7, right at the corner of Lincoln and Chestnut Street. It sits right behind FX Market, 48,000 square foot structure. The sole use of that will be for a new police headquarters. And the reason this lease option is being presented to you, back some time ago, you had a police department needs assessment done, and it determined that the cost of relocation and reestablishing the police headquarters was anywhere from 33 to 38 million. This lease, and it does include a purchase option, presents a much more affordable option for the city to entertain. The initial terms of the lease are for the first 9 years, $8.75 a square foot, or $425,000 per year, and then the price escalates over the remaining term. We have capped the fit-up expense or the building redevelopment expense at $12 million, and we've capped that at a 5% interest. The debt for that redevelopment would be carried by the building owner, Mr. Platts. So the city would not be incurring that debt directly, but you'd be reimbursing the cost of that debt that's being amortized over 20 years through the lease, and that the specifics of that are all spelled out. The year 6 is the first year you can exercise the purchase option, and that purchase option remains open until year 18. The price is to be determined at that future point in time, but we've established in the lease a base value for the structure at $6.5 million starting in year 1, and then there's some escalators in there or increases every year for 2.5%. The base mill complex has some costs, common area maintenance costs that are spread out over the entire complex, 1 million or so square feet, and the portion of the expense associated with Bates Mill 7 is 6.8%. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have at this point.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Ray?
I guess one question that's coming to mind is, so this is going from private ownership, so will this be taxable still, I guess, is my question.
The building will remain taxable because it's privately owned,
Right.
while the city is the tenant in it. And then at the point in time, if I should have mentioned that the point in time that the price for the acquisition is negotiated, that would trigger the need for a community referendum. So when the ownership changes to public ownership, it would become tax exempt.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Any other questions from the council? So in year 6, if the city did take the option of purchasing the building, you said the price is kind of outlined already at 6.5 plus the additional 12 and upgrades that have been done. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mayor. We've established a base value, and at the time that you would exercise the option, the community would agree to exercise the option, you would be responsible for repayment of any of the remaining debt, the unamortized portion of the debt. In the event that a number couldn't be agreed to, there's a section in the lease that allows for appraisers to be involved to establish fair market value. So we feel we've fully protected the city in the transaction.
And when we look at, the study, which, gave us well over 30 million as a cost, this tip, once we add this up in 6 years, potentially not including the lease payments, so that would addition, but we're looking at 18 to 20 million. So that is a pretty significant savings to the city. And then that study also brought up many deficiencies within our current police station. In fact, if this was a private business using that building, there may be code officers going in there and writing violations with some of the concerns that we have in that building. And I say that, I don't have evidence of that, but just things I've heard, that there are truly some concerning structural issues within that building that we couldn't sit here and wait. This council felt the need to address this issue as soon as possible. And then just as importantly, we have men and women who are working out of that building, and to have to go into work there every day, deal with some of the more challenging issues this city has on a day-to-day basis. I think as a community, we just owe it to our offices to provide a safe workspace, a comfortable workspace, and there's no, there's going to be no frizzle at this new place. I mean, we're going to give them a good spot, but it truly, I think we were at a point we had to do something. So I want to thank the council for having the courage to address this head on once it was brought to our attention. So those are my comments. Any other questions or comments from the council? Councilor Clement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with everything you had to say. Early on in this term, I met with then Chief O'Malley. I had a tour of the current building, and you're not too far from being absolutely 100% correct in what you said. I won't go into it any further, but to continue to utilize that building and have to look at up to $38 million to replace it, not knowing how we're going to do that or when or where, because we cannot use the present site. The building on it is just not capable of being built up or built out. This comes along and $18 to $20 million versus $38 million. And we're going to give them actually probably a better building in the end run than what we would have done for $38 million. It's going to be centrally located. The building is just, I mean, it's bulletproof. And it can be made into a police station. The shell is there now. We can put money into improvements rather than buying land and worrying about location and all that stuff. I think it's, to use the term, it just makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? To the public? Back to the council. Call the roll, please.
Counselor from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Agenda item number 7, please.
Item number 7, order authorizing a supplemental appropriation from the city's general fund balance in the amount of $2 million to pledge funds to cultural organizations' capital fundraising campaigns. Requested action to approve the order authorizing a supplemental appropriation from the city's general fund balance in the amount of $2 million to fund a capital campaign contribution in the amount of to be determined to Museum LA and to be determined to Jenner and Franco Center. So at this point, Mr. Mayor, it would really be appropriate to have a discussion and perhaps some nominations regarding a dollar amount, so we can then have a motion to complete that.
Okay. And, so I'm going to suggest to the council that we consider separating this discussion. Museum LA came to a workshop, provided, I thought, some really good information, data and information about how their work will directly affect economic development in our community. And through that discussion and with concerns from a counselor, we recognize that the Jenner and Franco Center has been trying for a long time to make improvements to their building. I'm a firm believer that both of these organizations will provide economic development within that area. In fact, I've heard it from developers since this discussion has already talked that will be the go-to place. So, but now I think we need guidance on how we address this. Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was not at the December 7th meeting, admittedly, but I watched it in earnest and was very excited to see the proposal for Museum LA. I think, having worked in fundraising and capital campaigns before, I think their plan is solid, their plan is good, and it's one I definitely believe in. I appreciate the supplemental information that we got about the Franco Center, but it doesn't address the same questions, I think, as the Museum LA presentation does, and it's a different scale of capital campaign. Again, having worked at different institutions with different scales, knowing where those lead gifts are coming from is absolutely critical, and I would really like to see this council support Museum LA at the full $2 million amount.
Okay. Other comments? Councilor Lejoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to excuse myself from this discussion. Reason being is I'm associated with the Franco Center on board of directors. I'm also vice president. Therefore, I think, in my opinion, there's a conflict of interest for me. So I'd like to excuse myself from whatever vote is taken, as well as discussion on the process.
All right, so does the council agree or disagree that maybe we should have the discussion separately, Museum LA, and then we'll discuss the Gender and Franco Center? Or do you want to keep it like it was presented as one item that we vote on? Anyone have thoughts on that? I like the idea of discussing Museum LA first and separate, because they came presented to the council workshop, and I think they're hoping to get an answer this evening. But clearly, we have some vested interest from another organization within the riverfront. Councilor Ray.
So just to clarify, the way this is phrased, it seems like up to $2 million is available for cultural organizations.
Yeah, I think the council has some discretion there. I think, so if we think Museum LA presented its case for $2 million, I think we should seriously consider that.
Okay.
But I do believe that we could provide funding for Gendron, either in the form of seed money to get them started on their capital campaign, and then they would come back and present to the next council. That's one possibility. Or we could follow through with their request.
Okay. I would just say to that, I think Museum LA went through the channels that we would normally have folks come through, and so I think we should answer their ask tonight. It would be great to hear from speaking for new council, I think it would be good to have that same sort of structure and presentation to understand all of the funding sources for the new council to take on at a separate time.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Councilor Jelinas?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree that, the museum, LA came on strong and gave us a great presentation, and certainly worthy of, when I think about the $2 million for a $17 million project, yes? My only concern with separating the discussions, as you're recommending, Mr. Mayor, is that if in fact we have up to $2 million to expend, I would just be concerned because I know that the total project amount for Franco has been $520,100 is what so I would want to be able to do something as well, because I was the one that brought it up and talked about, the concern about these are both entities in that riverfront master plan area, and, just really want to make sure that we're not forgetting, But I also understand, the point about separating. I just don't want to separate if it's going to mean we can't do anything for the Franco, is my point.
Yeah, let me just bring in Heather on this discussion. So if we provided the $2 million from Museum LA, and then had some consideration for the Gender and Franco, somewhere's between $100,000 to $250,000 what they're asking for. And again, I think it's worthy of consideration in providing seed money at this point until they can make a full presentation to the council. And I'll be anxious to hear from folks from Gender, because they may have issue with what I'm saying, and I'd want to hear that, of course. But if we were able to provide $100,000 for seed money, and that could start their capital campaign, how would that look on our end, and would that be?
That would be definitely doable within the fund balance allocation.
And it would keep us within the safe zone of our fund balance?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so I think, does that answer your question?
Thank you, yes.
All right. Councilor Clements, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I concur with my colleague who's going to appear with me on the next term of the council. I mean, I heard the presentation of Museum LA. I also recognize the Franco Center is a contributor, not only to the cultural aspect of Lewiston, but also to the economic aspect of the city as well as that neighborhood. The way this whole thing came about, I was the recipient of some phone calls over the weekend, and quite frankly, I had an issue with the tone of some of the conversation. I'm not going to get into that, but I think we have to do something for the Franco Center as well. And if that means that we don't give the full $2 million to Museum LA, I mean, it's great they came in here with a giant ask. From what I understand, the Franco Center needs I believe it's $450,000, something like that, in order to salvage the building from further disrepair. There's some significant deterioration going on. I mean, it's an old church building. You've got a steeple, you've got steel in that building. There's leakage around the gutters. Pretty soon, that money is going to be swallowed up just fixing water damage. And I think it's imperative that we keep this up. They've done a great job so far. Since we've moved back to Lewiston 6 years ago, we've been to a number of events at the Franco Center. I think it's a classy place, and I just think we can't leave them standing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Khalid.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't present for last week's meeting, the 7th, but I did watch the presentation, and Museum LA definitely has put time, energy, and investment into this campaign, and I definitely support them receiving the full $2 million. The Franco Center, I think, for them to go through the entire process, like Councilor Ray said, is appropriate. Hopefully for the next year, 2022, but.
Okay. All right, so, just Councilor Ray.
Can someone tell me what the actual number is for the Franco Center?
So let's, like what they're asking for?
Yeah, you said 100 to 250.
Right there.
I heard $500,000, 400, like
Yeah,
there's
so
all kinds of numbers out there.
Their request through the letter that they, is $250,000.
Is that in our packet?
I think it is, or it came in late by email, one or the other. So $250,000 is their ask. Their capital campaign is $800,000 plus. Is that correct? I believe. Okay, so either way, though, we'll, if it's okay with the council, we'll deal with Museum LA first, and then we'll have a discussion and hear from
Okay,
folks from
sounds good.
Gendron. Okay, thank you.
Then I have a motion.
Okay. Hold on one
I
second.
said I wouldn't speak, but I will.
No, you can
It's
speak.
$520,100 for the particular work that is being considered at this time.
Okay.
Therefore, it's not the complete amount of the full restoration of the outside of the building, but is a portion of the building
Okay.
that is considered in this particular request.
Okay. So I know you're going to get ready. I want to get this out there. My goal is to hopefully this evening, we provide some level of funding to both organizations. So I don't want anyone to think that we're trying to, I'm more responding to Councilor Clement's concern, because I think we can help both organizations. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I would like to make a motion to approve the order authorizing a supplemental appropriation from the city's general fund balance in the amount of $2 million to fund a capital campaign contribution to Museum LA.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor Khalid. Questions or comments specific to Museum LA? Councilor Clement.
The amount of $2 million, if that is what's out there, what sort of resource do we have available for the Franco Center above and beyond this $2 million? I guess before I vote on anything, I would want to know the answer.
Yeah, so our city administrator just shared that there is a level of comfort pulling from that same fund for Franco. So the dollar amount, I'm hoping, will be someplace between $100,000 to $250,000. But I think we'll hear more directly. Do you want to respond to anything else?
No, Councilor Clement, I agree that there's a level of comfort up to $250,000. That still puts us within the 9.55 range of fund balance.
Okay, can we do this all in one resolve then, if we have the numbers to put into it? I mean, we're talking about a supplemental appropriation from the city's general fund in the amount of $2 million to the capital campaign of Museum LA and $250,000 to the Gender Franco Center.
I'm good with my original motion.
So I think, yeah, at this point, we do have to handle it separately.
Oh, I'm so sorry, my alarm's going off.
The motion, we already have a motion on the table.
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay.
The motion would accomplish the same thing. I would argue that we're giving the $2 million to Museum LA.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're giving money to Franco Center.
Yeah, and I think there'll be further discussion. I'm hoping that there'll be unanimous council support for Franco, but I think we have to have that discussion. You okay with that? I mean, the motion's
Not
on the table.
particularly, but go ahead anyway.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table. Any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none to the public? Yeah. There's someone up right behind you, but.
Oh, go ahead.
Well,
No, go for it.
So we're going to be discussing the Frankel Center next. Did you want to speak to this item as well, Ms. Root?
Yes.
Okay. So you're welcome. Yep.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elaine Root, and a long time ago I was told, as a little girl, Elaine, when you go to the well with a bucket, don't overfill your bucket. Just take what you need. So this evening, I am here to ask only what I need, not to fill my bucket. That bucket is the Franco Center. That bucket has been open since the year 2000. This is the very first time that we come before the city of Lewiston to ask for help. Have we needed help? Oh, you bet your booties we have. Have we gotten help? No. We didn't ask. We didn't ask. We kept on going. We've always run very, very, very close to the edge. But I'll tell you what our edge has brought to this community. It brought a level of entertainment. We were the first ones to bring the symphony here. It brought a level of entertainment of bringing in other cultures. It brought in programs. Our programs are dying off now. They're dying off because we are running out of money. We are putting all of our money, our donations, and everything into the restoration of this building. You saw in your packets what it looks like. I'm here to tell you the buttresses are in need of help immediately rather than later. And this is why I stand before you tonight. I'm asking for help. I'm not asking for a gazillion dollars. I'm just asking for help now. We are still providing class entertainment to our communities. We want it safe for the people who are attending. If any of you in this room know anything about supporting a building, you know how important those buttresses are. But it goes beyond that. It goes into the history. It goes into the revitalization of that entire area. We're not tearing our building down and starting from new. We're there, and we're still providing entertainment, and we still have investors. I don't call them donors anymore. They're investors. They're investors because they believe in us, because they've been there, they've seen what we provide, and we will continue to do so. But we need your help, so we're asking. Start of our campaign, yes, for $250,000. And yes, I do not consider that a full bucket.
All right, thank you.
Thank you ever so much.
Hi.
Good evening.
For those of you that I don't know or haven't met, I'm Rachel Ferrante, the Executive Director of Museum LA. To recap, as I think you're all now aware, Museum LA is launching a major capital campaign for $17 million, as previously stated, to move the museum to a permanent home. The current space is temporary that we're in, and it's urgent that we move out as the mill is currently literally being renovated around us. Museum LA presented our plan to you all during the workshop on December 7th. The request from the Museum of Lewiston is the full $2 million. I want to note that the museum detailed in our PowerPoint how the remaining $15 million will be raised. The new museum, a major feature of Lewiston's riverfront development plan, represents a much-needed project to transform the Camden Yarns Mill and the adjacent land. For Lewiston, the new museum will be an economic engine for the city, generating local and tourist activity throughout the year, a center for diverse educational and social programming, and a unifying community space for all. The City of Lewiston's support is crucial to the success of this transformational project. Meaningful local public investment will demonstrate the city's commitment to creating a museum that will be a cultural icon, a keeper of heritage, and an anchoring riverfront attraction. The new museum will truly help make Lewiston a destination. An investment by the City of Lewiston of $2 million represents 11% of the total capital campaign amount. Auburn has already announced that they will give up to $1.5 million to the museum. However, they've announced that they will peg their contribution at 66% of Lewiston's, meaning any decrease in Lewiston's contribution would also mean a decrease in Auburn's. A contribution from Lewiston of the full $2 million provides the strongest foundation for the project, leveraging more funding from Auburn and building a community asset in Lewiston that will deliver a strong return into the future. I hope that your support tonight will enable us to move into 2022 with good momentum for the capital campaign to make the new Museum LA a reality. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, seeing none, back to the council. Councilor Clement.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to amend the order before the body to read, to authorize a supplemental appropriation from the city's general fund balance in the amount of $2,250,000 to fund a capital campaign contribution in the amount of $2 million to Museum LA and $250,000 to Jennifer Franco Center.
Okay. Would Councilor Ray and Councilor Khalid entertain a friendly amendment?
I would like to take them separately.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion. We need a second.
Yes, we need a second on Councilor Clement's motion to amend, yes.
I think I would encourage someone to second this so that we can have this discussion to see if this council can get together on these two numbers.
Mr. Mayor, I'll second
All right, thank you.
Councilor Clement's motion.
Thank you. So I guess I'm going to, we do have information. I'm kind of directing this at you, so I apologize.
No, that's fine. I'm happy to.
I mean, we do have a presentation from the Franco Center that truly identifies true needs. They also have gone through a pandemic like other service providers within our community. And I would just ask Councilor Ray and Councilor Khalid to consider the amendment, because this would provide needed capital to two very important institutions within our community in an area that we have a strategic plan for development, and I believe this would just add value to that area and generate further economic development. Go ahead, Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I wanted to take these two separately because it seems like putting them together puts them at odds with each other, and that's what I saw during the December 7th meeting was an organization came in with a presentation and a plan for how they were going to raise another $15 million, and that is incredibly powerful to know where that other support is coming from. I think that the Jenjen Franco Center is very deserving of our funding, but I don't think we are ready to give them that funding based on the information that we have. We do have some information, but what we are doing is we're putting a Band-Aid on that building, which is what we've done with the police station for how Lord knows how long, and now we have to make that new investment. I think what I need to see personally from the Franco Center is a full plan. And recognizing this is our last meeting, I would prefer that go forward in front of the next council with a full presentation, understanding where the other donors are coming from for this capital campaign, because we got that already from the Museum LA presentation, and that is to support a new building going forward, new programming. We heard about all those amenities, and we haven't had that workshop opportunity. We haven't seen the numbers. I mean, we do a pro forma for every TIF. We do all this numbers analysis on the budget, but these numbers, while they are rooted in what issues and projects need to be repaired, I don't think we understand where the other funding is coming from and what this total vision for that capital campaign looks like. It looks like a capital expenditure and a repair that is sorely needed. I will not disagree with that, and I want to give them money for it, but I want to understand the full picture of what their capital campaign is working towards besides just fixing these parts of the building. I think that's reasonable.
I do. I just think the risk is potential that neither project could fly. So I'm going to fall. I mean, they have history here. The Franco Center's been here a long time. The work that they suggest needs to be done, I'm thoroughly convinced needs to be done. I think they're conservative in their fiscal approach to getting it done, and they've never asked our community for money. We have an opportunity to do something at our very last meeting, and I would hate to see an organization that's given so much to this community for $250,000 walk away with nothing this evening. My personal opinion. Councilor Khalid.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm supporting them splitting these two up because I wanted to see the same process Museum LA went through. I am not seeing that for the Franco Center. I love the Franco Center. I've been to many weddings that was held there, many cultural events. I'm very proud of the work that the Franco Center does, but I'm just not seeing the same work that Museum LA has put through in terms of their presentation. And also, if we give less to Museum LA, that means that Auburn is going to give less. But, yeah, that's my stance.
Okay, thank you. Councilor
Mayor, I
Clement.
think there's a basic misunderstanding here. We're not giving less to Museum LA. I think my amendment will bring us together, and there'll be unanimous approval for this. I don't know as that will happen if we split them up. We're not giving a cent less to Museum LA than what they asked for. We are, in addition, because the administrator says that she's comfortable and that we have that in our fund balance, we're going to give the $250 to Gender and Franco Center, do it all as one order. If we can do it that way, I think we have common ground, and I think we'll have unanimous approval of it. I agree with you on that. We're not giving anything less to Museum LA. They're going to get the full boat from the city of, well, they're going to get the percentage that the city of Auburn guaranteed them, and they're going to get the full $2 million that they asked for us. In the interim, some information has come to us that I wished we'd known ahead of time. Things might be different now, but given the fact that it's come about the way it has, I don't propose that we give anything less to Museum LA than what we talked about, but I just think we can do it all in one order and show unanimity of the council towards both organizations. I disagree that it puts either organization or both organizations at odds. I think we have some people here that are trying to portray that, and I just don't agree.
So Heather, have you met with Franco and gone over the numbers?
I've met with both groups, yes.
And do you feel comfortable with the numbers that are being presented on the Franco? And
Based upon the information that was presented, yes.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the table to make this one. Is there one vote? Are there any questions or further discussion? Councilor Khalid?
I'm just a little bit confused. What is the problem of splitting them up, like having two different votes?
So, I mean,
I don't know, like, what is the reason?
Well, I think, the goal for some folks on the council right now is to provide funding for both organizations.
So what am I? Yep.
Okay, because that isn't what I heard in your message. I heard in
No, I
your
would just
message.
like to discuss them separately because Museum LA did a workshop with us. I feel that they went through a proper city process and we should just give them that. I have more questions for Gendron.
I see.
Yeah.
So you
That's
have,
why I'm trying to take them separately.
all right.
But, I mean, loudest voice, I guess, I don't know.
Well, no, I think, when I heard you speak, I heard you say that you wanted to fund Museum LA, but you wanted Gendron to go through a workshop with the next council.
Yeah, I would like to talk about that, but we're talking about it all at the same time, so let's just vote on the amendment.
Okay, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments from the council? Okay. So can you reread the motion and then call the roll, please?
Sure, the motion before you is the amendment to change the dollar amount in the fund balance distribution from $2 million to $2,250,000, and to add $250,000 for the Gendron Franco Center, or to allot, I should say, $250,000 for the Gendron Franco Center. So that's the amendment, and then if that is adopted, then the main motion before you with that language incorporated would then be the next item before you.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
So the amendment, again, changing the fund balance allotment from $2 million to $2,250,000 and to allot $250,000 to the Gendron Franco Center is the amendment before you. Counselor from Ward 3.
No.
Ward 4. I'm sorry, you are recusing yourself. Ward 5.
Yes.
Ward 6.
Yes.
Ward 7.
Yes.
Ward 1.
No.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 4-2.
Okay. Council Ray.
Okay, I have questions for the Gendron Center, if that's okay at this point.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, so as we're debating this 250,
So could we have somebody, one, two, or all three of you to come up to the table? And can we move that computer?
This table?
Yeah, just so you're comfortable. If you need to pull up a chair, please do. It's reserved just for you.
okay to ask?
Absolutely.
Okay, so based on the memo that we have, the total cost of the project is around $456,000. So about more than half of that would be coming from us if we fund this amendment. Is the $456,000 your entire capital campaign? Or is that just the cost of this project?
That's the cost of that part of the project. Still, this would not take care of fixing all the water damage and stuff inside.
And what is the total capital campaign number then?
Excuse me. Okay. No, that amount is based on the fact that
Just the work that's immediate.
it's for immediate, to take care of the immediate needs. Okay, we're asking 250 to take care of immediate needs. However, based on that, going down further, we're going to have to address the other buttresses there. And perhaps, is it possible for Mike to excuse himself from there to explain the actual damage that has been done and is going on now? And we really don't know what's going to happen once they start pulling that apart. All we know is right now, we've got bubbles forming on the inside of the center
Okay, so
that are filling with water.
So you can't have a final number right now, of course, but is the capital just going to repair the building?
Can I
Is it,
May I sit?
go,
Excuse me. May I excuse myself
Yeah.
from the council and sit so I can
That's
get my
fine.
coffee?
Mike takes care, we hang him up from the top of the building to look at stuff.
He's got the youth for it.
Here, I have my chair.
Okay, So the question is as to what these monies identified for. They're identified for the buttresses on the building, as well as the gutter system. Now, the gutters and the downspouts must be replaced, and I would say that would be the first agenda, and that's at a cost of $64,100. The reason for that is the gutters are all leaking and deteriorated, and what they've done is they leak between the fascia, which are the stones that you see on the outside, and the brick building, which is the inner walls of the building. And what happens during the cold season is the water that has leaked there will expand when frozen, and therefore will push the stones out. So the first thing on the agenda is replacing the gutter system, which is at $64,100 estimated. And then to fix the buttresses, there's actually 17 of them, but to concentrate on the most needy would be 456,000. So you put that 456,000 along with the 64,100, it comes up to 520,100. The situation was this. This is only this section of the church. It does not include the walls on the outside of the church where the water has also leaked. That's a separate part. And that would have been in our master presentation, if you will, that would come up to an amount at the time. We also have the stained glass windows that must be looked at, and we have an estimate of $300,000 on that. So as you can see, the price escalates as it went up, and the tabulation in reality could be in excess of $7 million by the time we're done. However, the other thing is to do these piecemeal will cost more money because they have to take down the staging and put up the staging every time. So that's why these prices are the way they are, and that's where the cost is associated to the work to be completed.
Okay, and where are other donors, investors coming from?
Yes, what our task that we are trying to accomplish is that other investors were approaching the legislative body with the state to see if there's any necessary available monies. We also contacted members of the federal government to see if there's any available monies there as well as private investors, if and when we can get them, that would be interested in investing. So those are in motion at this time.
Any ask to Auburn City Council yet?
No, there's nothing with Auburn at all that we know of. We have not contacted them. That may be something that we can look at, and reason being, of course, is that they've offered to do something with Museum LA. So it's like anything else. We'll try to follow through and see if there's a possibility of investment in that area.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a more complete picture of, I mean, that $7 million is stunning. Like that much repair work needs to go into this, and I want to help with that. And I mean, it seems like $250,000 kind of pales in comparison to that number at that point too. So understanding the full picture of what the actual need is, because you have admitted you're not good at asking for help yet, helps us place a better number on our side. And I fully support the Franco Center. I've been to a lot more events there than Museum LA, sorry. I'll be at that new building though. And so I'm just really trying to understand what we can do to put you in the best position moving forward, because it sounds like you're going to uncover more issues as this work starts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, the bottom line is this. It's going to help us if the city of Lewiston, that we have been sitting in for years, shows good faith that they believe in us, that you're investors in us. That's going to help us with credibility, with getting grants, with being able to approach other venues, because it's not going to stop here. And you know, what people don't understand is for the past 20 years, we have been investing ourselves in the building with very few grants coming in. We've done it all on our own, and we've paid our bills. And we just need the support and the good faith that the city of Lewiston believes in us.
So, you know, I'd like, the issue here is that some direct questions have been asked, but you're not able to provide answers. I mean, we really had to kind of pull teeth to figure out. So when you're coming to the city and asking that significant amount of money, you really got to come with as much information to justify that. I don't think there's a person on this council that thinks that the Franco Center is not a valuable asset, and that you already do spur economic development here. But don't take any questions coming from the council has anything but want to support you, but we have to justify to our constituents.
Oh, and I understand that completely. And I mean, if you want to take more time on this, if you want to study it more, if you want to come and see the building, we don't have a problem with any of that. Okay?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Ray?
Again, I have a hard time with this part of the ask because I don't even know if we're doing enough. Now hearing a $7 million figure, it could be more. We just don't know yet. And so I guess my question to you all would be, when might you have a bigger picture of that so that the city can properly invest in the future of the Franco Center, I guess is the best way to put that. What time or resources would you need to fully understand what your capital needs are?
What kind of resources are we going to need at the Franco Center? Is that what you're saying?
No, when do you think you would have a true picture of your capital?
No, go ahead. I'm not hearing.
Mr. Mayor, if I could help. When we met, we talked about kind of this immediate need, as well as, to Councilor Ray's point, of establishing exactly what the full punch list looks like, and quantifying those estimates, and being able to articulate a plan to put forth a further request as part of the FY23 budget option. But this addresses the most immediate need now to avoid further deterioration of those particular buttresses. So it's kind of an emergency plus putting together their full plan, if that helps, Councilor Ray.
Sorry, I keep going. So is there a potential that the Franco Center would need to come back for an additional allocation?
I would think it's a definite possibility.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think that has
Once
been
they
said
get that-
once before tonight, so.
Right, once they get
the
that
full
final
picture.
campaign
Yeah.
amount, and once they they gather all their estimates, I think most definitely there would be a request to be further considered.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? Councilor Clement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I heard what Councilor Lejoy had to say, ex officio. $7 million is probably going to pale in comparison to the final numbers they come up with. If you look at these buildings, when you dig into them, everything that you take apart to look at presents further problems. And I have no doubt, if I were a gambling person, that it's going to cost way over $7 million to bring that building into proper repair. I think what we're doing here is we're giving them not only seed money, but giving them the wherewithal to start salvaging the building before it goes into further disrepair. what has been said about putting staging up, taking staging down. It's not easy to work on these buildings. It's not inexpensive. But I think the sooner we start doing something, the less expensive it's going to be in the long run. So that's why I'm in favor of doing it this way. We're giving Museum LA what they asked for, but we're also giving the Franco Center a shot in the arm, if you will. No pun intended pandemic-wise, but we are giving them a leg up and getting them going on some sorely needed repairs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? I believe I already went to the public on this, right? Okay, thank you. Once it stretches over time, then I tend to forget. With no further questions from the council, call the roll, please.
Sure. Counselor from Ward 3?
Sorry, could you read the motion again?
Sure. So the motion is to approve the order authorizing a supplemental appropriation from the city's general fund balance in the amount of $2,250,000 to fund a capital campaign contribution in the amount of $2 million to Museum LA and $250,000 to Jen Franco Center.
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 8, please.
Item number 8, order authorizing execution of municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 87 Summer Street. Requested action to approve the order authorizing execution of municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 87 Summer Street.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Clement, seconded by Councilor Mohammed. Anything you want to add?
No, it's
Typical.
a normal quitclaim deed.
Okay, questions or comments from the council? Okay, call the roll.
Counselor from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Agenda item number 9.
Item number 9, order authorizing the city administrator to execute a 5-year lease agreement to utilize 43 parking spaces in the Oak Street parking facility with the United States Postal Service. Requested action to approve the order authorizing the city administrator to execute a 5-year lease agreement to utilize 43 parking spaces in the Oak Street parking facility with the United States Post Office.
Move with the amendment that it's for 59 months instead of 5 years.
Second.
Yes.
Moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor Mohammed. Brief presentation.
Yeah, this came up recently over the last couple of months. I've been talking with them. They've got 40 to 30 vehicles that they need to park. They'd like to park it across the street in the Oak Street garage. We started them at our current lease rate of $50 a month, which is what the rate is if you pay annually, anticipating that we're likely going to need to increase rates at some point in the garages. So the last 3 years of the 59 months would be at $70 per month per space. We blended the rates together so they pay the same payment. So they're overpaying a little bit in the first 2 years, and they're underpaying if we use that $70 rate long-term. Bottom line is it's a 59-month lease. They'll start in February of this year. The first payment will be $10,750. After that, for the next 5 years, on July 1st, we'll get a $29,412 payment.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Clement?
I notice in here that we're paying a commission, a one-time 4% commission. I'm at odds with that. Why should we pay a commission?
Blake, why should we pay a commission?
That's a very good question. I started talking with this group. The U.S. Postal Services uses a brokerage company to do all of their leases. They have thousands of leases across the country. It's sort of a pro forma that they need to use. And so deep in the process, they said, oh yeah, we've got this 4% commission. So I did know it when I first talked with with Administrator Hunter. It's a relatively small fee. It's 4%, and typically any real estate deal, a broker gets paid based on the proceeds from the sale. So it's really built on that model.
I guess the mail coming at my place as late as 9 o'clock at night lately. Maybe those vehicles should be kept on the road and not parked in a parking garage somewhere. I'm against paying a $6,000 commission. Let them pay the commission. Thank you.
Councilor Jelinas?
Well, I was just going to follow up on that. I guess I don't understand, like, they've engaged this broker firm, which is great. They've engaged them. They've engaged this firm. Maybe I'm not understanding this, but it strikes me as their obligation then to pay that commission to that firm. We didn't engage them, did we?
We did not engage them. I can tell you, many, many, many years ago at this point, I used to sell real estate myself, and when a transaction occurs, typically the proceeds are split between selling broker and listing broker, and then each company divvies it out to whoever their agents are.
Okay.
So this is not an unusual model. I don't disagree with what Councilor Clement is saying. We're not the one who engaged them. They approached us, said we want to lease it, but it's not atypical. Almost every commercial lease, every residential sale I've ever been involved with includes a commission. It's based on the proceeds from the transaction, and it goes to the agents who are involved in it. This side, we're only paying one side.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
the postal's not paying any part of the commission, just the city?
Well, yeah, right. I mean, that overall, that's another way to look at it. I agree.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments from the council? Are the spaces designated, or is it general parking?
No, I made that very clear to them, that because of the way our bonding works, we cannot, they asked, can we put up signs designating this for postal service vehicles? And I said, you absolutely cannot do that. It's just like anybody else. They come in, they take a space that's available.
So, well, I'd like to hear what our administrator thinks about the commission, but I also share, right now, there's no gates. They're parking there for free at this point. And that's not a justification. It's not a
They can be
justification.
towed for a fee, too.
Right. It's not a justification for the commission fee, but
Right.
sometimes it's like a TIF. It's,
Yeah.
sometimes it gets to a point it's better than nothing. City Administrator Hunter?
Yes, although the news of the commission was a surprise kind of at the tail end of the discussion, it is not abnormal for a leasing firm to come in during a negotiation process. I would couch it that I think it's in poor taste that they let us know at the 9th hour that the deal was done, and, oh, by the way, but it is not unusual.
Councilor Ray?
Are these postal trucks that they're parking there, or is it for employee parking, or? Just because postal trucks are larger than normal spots, I feel like, right?
Yeah, they have not specified. I mean, it is parking passes. It is, parking spaces is what they are paying for. So whether they are taking their vehicles, which I would think it's more the delivery vehicles, the little sort of 4x1s, could be those that get parked overnight there, or it could be swapped out that those are there at night and they have parking for employees during the day.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, Councilor Lejoy?
I have a question for the city administrator. So if we would vote to move forward, however, with no commission, how would that affect you with regards as to going back to them and negotiating without that particular item?
My guess is we would have to start over again, and we would have to inflate the cost of the space to include the commission.
Okay.
Because they are going, a part of their terms, whether they disclose it initially or not,
Right.
is to charge the commission.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the council to the public? This is an exciting issue. Okay, bring it back to the council. Call the roll, please.
Counselor from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
No.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Motion passed by a vote of 6 to 1.
thank you. Agenda item number 10.
Item number 10, reports and updates.
Okay, seeing none. Item 11.
Item 11, any other business counselors or others may have relating to Lewiston City Government?
Councilor Ray.
I just wanted to thank staff, the public, everyone for all the learning over the past 4 years. That was a beautiful tribute to Council President Lejoy, who I've had the pleasure of spending 4 years with. The last two holdouts from 2018. And it just has absolutely been a wild 4 years, and just really special in my life. So thank you all.
Any other comments?
Thank you. Once again, thank you to everyone. And my inspiration on this city council the individuals sitting on that side at that counter, the leadership, as well as everybody on this council, every one of you, have been extremely, extremely beneficial to my moving forward in my life. And I just want to say thank you.
Councilor Khalid.
Thank you. I just want to thank the constituents of Ward 1 for electing me. It's been an honor serving them and serving the city of Lewiston, and I think the staff, it's been quite a ride. But I definitely have learned so much that I will always keep with to myself. But again, thank you, and thank you to my colleagues too. We haven't always agreed, but I have the utmost respect for each and every one of you.
Thank you. Councilor Clement.
I'm going to break decorum a little bit and speak directly to Mike. Terrific tribute, Mike. I do kind of damn you for leaving me alone as the recipient of the Boston Post cane now, I guess, as the old member of the council. But a tribute well-deserved. You've been, the words that we used tonight to describe everything, you've been moderate, you've been middle of the road, you've been full of integrity, honesty. Every one of those was just the absolute truth. It's been a pleasure to serve with you. I wish you the very best in your retirement. I know that we'll be seeing, from what I understand from your call today, we'll probably be seeing each other on some committees, and I look forward to that because I've learned a lot from you. Some people probably don't know, but you and I share somewhat of a history in our occupations, and I know what you've given to the city, and I don't think they can ever repay the debt that they owe you. Tonight was just a start, and I wish you the best of everything, Mike. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, real quick, I'm going to talk to individual staff members before I leave office, but I did want to publicly say that I'm so happy that this council chose our current city administrator, who then chose our deputy city administrator. I think we have an excellent administrative team that is working closely with so many department heads to really guide the direction of the city towards thinking without good economic development, we're not going to be able to provide the services this community needs. So thank you, Heather. Thank you, Brian, for being willing to come from the police department to unknown territory for you. And I just think both of you are really doing an excellent job, and I encourage you to continue going in the direction you're going in. So thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you.